أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ورضي الله تعالى عن السادة التابعين وعلماء العاملين وأئمة الأربعة المجتهدين ومقالديهم إلى يوم الدين أما بعد السلام عليكم. Alhamdulillah. What day of Ramadan is this? What day of Ramadan is
I'm
this?
just looking at that. I think it's 13.
13?
I think.
So we're about halfway there. Alhamdulillah. Today, inshallah, in our brief reminder, we're going to talk about something I mentioned in passing several times over the years here, but I think this is the first time I dealt with it specifically. And I've mentioned it several times here because I see it a lot here. I don't know why or where it came from. So I saw it yesterday, and so I made my intentions to talk about it today. And I don't know, we have one of our elders here sitting here, and I don't know if he's noticed it as well, but maybe when I'm finished, maybe he may know where it originated from. But I see it a whole lot here, and I don't understand why. And one of the thing that I'm seeing is salat being made during the prohibited times. As the Prophet ﷺ informed us, there are certain times in which salat is prohibited. And before we get into it, I'll just mention a couple of the prophetic statements. And Amr ibn Abbasata قال قلت يا نبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أخبرني عن الصلاة قال صلي صلاة صبح ثم أقصر عن الصلاة حتى تطلع الشمس وترتفع فإنها تطلع بين قرني شيطان وحينئذ يسجد لما الكفار ثم صلي فإن صلاة مشهودة محظورة حتى يستقل ذل بالرمل ثم أقصر عن الصلاة فإن حينئذ تسجد جهنم فإذا أقبل الفيء فصلي فإن صلاة مشهودة محظورة حتى تصلي العصر ثم أقصر عن الصلاة حتى تغرب الشمس فإنها تغرب بين قرني شيطان وحينئذ يسجد لها الكفار رواه أحمد ومسلم. Amr ibn Abbasa related that he said, O Prophet of Allah, inform me about the Salah. He said, pray the morning prayer. I just want to make a side note there that the word that's used for morning prayer is subha. In this place we're comfortable with the word fajr, but most of all the narrations that I've seen that mention the morning prayer refer to it as subha. So a lot of times you hear me say subha, fajr, subha. I'm saying fajr because, that's what people are most familiar with. But most, and I'm not going to say all because I don't know all, but most of the narrations that I've seen, or all of the narrations that I've seen that refer to the morning prayer refer to it as subha. I'm sure there must be something out there that refers to it as fajr. I'm just not familiar with it. So the Prophet ﷺ said, pray the morning prayer and then abstain from praying until sunrise, and the sun has completely risen. For it rises between the two horns shaitan. That is when the unbelievers prostrate to it. Then pray as your prayer will be witnessed and attended to, until the shadow of a spear becomes less than its length. At that time, stop praying, for at that time the hellfire is being fed with fuel. When the shade comes, you may pray, for your prayer will be witnessed and attended to, i.e. by the angels, until you pray the afternoon prayer. Then abstain from praying until the sun sets, for it sets between the two horns of shaitan. And that is when the unbelievers make prostration to it. And this hadith has been related by Ahmed and Muslim. So the Prophet ﷺ mentions 3 times where he commands us to stop praying. He commands us to stop praying when the sun begins to rise. And that means when you can start seeing the top of the sun from the horizon until the sun completely appears, and then a little bit of time after it, which he describes as the length of a spear. So during that time period, it's prohibited to pray. And then he says, pray. And obviously after that time, up until the next prohibited time, is the time that is called duha, or the morning prayer. It's not an obligatory prayer, but it's a highly recommended prayer. It's during this same time period that the Eid prayer is established. So you can establish the Eid prayer anytime during this time period. And then after that, the sun is at its height, at its meridian, or its zenith. And the Prophet ﷺ described that time as the time that the hellfire is fed with fuel. So we shouldn't pray when the sun is directly above our heads. And then after, when the sun begins to decline, obviously this is when Dhuhr comes in, and then after that Asr comes in. And then, so the Prophet ﷺ said, then abstain from praying until the sun sets. Now when the sun begins to get closer to the horizon, we should have prayed it already. But if you haven't prayed that prayer, you should pray it, the Asr prayer. Now while the sun is definitely setting, meaning the bottom of the sun begins to disappear below the horizon, we should not be praying at all.
So if you don't pray the Asr by then, you should make it up after you pray Maghrib?
Right. Meaning when the sun starts to set, when the sun starts to literally disappear below the horizon. There's another narration that before that time, when the sun is getting like dark yellow and orange and stuff like that, I mean, if you hadn't prayed Asr by that time, you can pray it, but normally, it's been described as the time that the hypocrites pray. And he again described that period of time as setting between the horns of the shaitan, and he described that time as a time in which the believers prostrate to the sun. So early in the morning when the sun first starts rising, and in the evening when the sun begins to set, the Prophet ﷺ said that the disbelievers prostrate to the sun at that time. So we shouldn't be praying at that time. And I mention this because I notice it a lot during Asr time. Not during Asr time, after Asr time, right before we call the Adhan for Maghrib, you'll see someone come into the masjid and begin to pray. Now, Allah knows best, maybe, now there's certain exceptions, and scholars differ on exceptions to this rule, like if you're making up salats that you hadn't made during that time, or if it's the Tahiyatul Masjid, certain times praying those prayers is excusable, meaning after the time of Asr. Say you make Asr on time during this earliest time. Most of the scholars say that any salat after that time is completely prohibited. We're not even talking about when the sun is setting, but many scholars make exceptions to that. And some of the exceptions is like a salat of janazah, if the janazah prayer had to be made at that time, or making the greetings to the masjid and other examples of that. وعن عقبة بن عامر قال ثلاث ساعة نهانا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أن نصلي فيهن وأن تقبر فيهن موتنا حين تطلع الشمس بازغة حتى ترتفع وحين يكون قائم ظاهرا وحين تضيف للبلوغ حتى تغرب. Uqba ibn Amir said, there are 3 times during which the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prohibited us from praying or burying our deceased. Number 1, sunrise until the sun has risen some distance. Number 2, when the sun is at its meridian. And number 3, when the sun is setting until it has completely set. And this hadith has been related by the Jamaa'ah, meaning the major collections, all the major collections of hadith, except for Bukhari in his Sahih. So I just thought that we would mention that because I see something that is common in here. And I know this is one of the cities that has a long history of Islam. And so a lot of times people do things by habit, and it was established or, set in motion by people who came before. And so I said, maybe one of our elders, maybe something was said or established or misunderstood, maybe something, maybe you don't know where it comes from? Have you seen it though?
I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's being not known.
Yeah.
And thinking that we can do what they're doing, they're trying to make us a lot of catch us a lot, catch us.
Yeah.
But I think that's the issue, like catch us. Where instead of wait, they want to be doing awesome action, they're not. So.
But I've seen people come here and make ashra. They do whatever, and then right before the adhan is called for Maghrib, stand up and make another prayer. And that's what made me, because I'm always trying to give people excuse. Well, maybe they ain't make it yet. They catching it at the last minute. Or maybe they're making up a salat. Maybe they owe some part of salat. Maybe they're making it up. But then I've seen people make salat, then do other stuff, then come and make it right before Maghrib. And I'm like, wow. Good.
But you can't, if you walk out to Greek land shit.
I don't do it. Like I said, after the Asr prayer, there's a difference of opinion. After you make the Asr prayer, some of the scholars say there is no sunnah after Asr period, including greetings to the masjid. And some scholars say that there is. I believe it's the Shafi'i scholars that say that you can make some greeting to the masjid after the Asr prayer. Am I correct? I don't read the masjid after Asr prayer. So we just wanted to remind the believers about the prohibited time that the Prophet ﷺ prohibited us from praying, inshallah. And those of you who are here, if you see someone do that, don't embarrass them in front of everybody. Maybe pull them to the side. That's the only reason why I haven't said anything. Cause sometimes, especially sometimes if it comes from the imam, even if you pull them to the side, even if you whisper and try to be real weak, a lot of people get real defensive, and I don't know, they shut down, they don't want to answer, whatever. So, you know, if you see someone do it, maybe inquire, let me know. Maybe there's a reason for it, I don't know. Inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق والتواصوا بالصبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.